What if everything you believed about Custer's last stand was mistaken? Picture yourself in the whirlwind of the battlefield where heroes emerge and destinies shatter. I am Charles DiRudio, an Italian nobleman, survivor, and first-hand witness to one of history's most notorious confrontations. On that fateful June day in 1876, the Little Bighorn became a crucible of bravery, fear, and treachery. Tonight, accompany me through the smoke and relentless gunfire, a place where every choice meant survival or death, and the boundary between valor and catastrophe blurred in the swirling dust. Was Custer a tragic hero or a heedless leader? What truths did the survivors carry in silence? My tale is more than survival. It's about uncovering the history that time tried to conceal. Stay with me until the end, for what I reveal may forever alter your view of Custer's last stand. This was not merely a battle, but a judgment day. Join me in the inferno, and remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Born into Italian aristocracy, I, Charles DiRudio, served as an officer in the U.S. Army and took part in the historic Battle of the Little Bighorn as part of the 7th Cavalry Regiment. Captain Frederick Benteen, amused by my penchant for exaggeration and my somewhat haughty attitude, mockingly called me Count No Account. Yet, despite this jibe, I proved my worth as an officer and was promoted to first lieutenant on December 15, 1875. I earned the respect and friendship of Colonel George Armstrong Custer and other senior officers. After surviving the fierce battle, I penned a letter recalling the events. I escaped the perils of the engagement on June 25th and 26th, and now wish to share my eyewitness narrative. Around 10 a.m. on June 25th, General Custer's scouts returned to camp with urgent news. They had located a Native American village about 15 miles away, along the Little Bighorn River. The scouts reported that the warriors seemed to be retreating as our troops approached. We pressed onward for several more miles until General Custer stopped the column to plan the attack. He ordered Companies H, D, and K, under Colonel Frederick Benteen, to secure the left flank, instructing them to neutralize any opposition. Meanwhile, Companies M and G, led by Colonel Reno, and to which I was temporarily attached with Company A, formed the center. Custer commanded Companies E, I, F, L, and C on the right flank, while Company B guarded the pack train. After advancing another 6 to 7 miles, our unit was instructed to trot and keep pace until reaching the river. Crossing the water, we emerged onto open plains and formed a battle line. We charged forward at full speed, chasing the enemy through a blinding cloud of dust kicked up by retreating warriors. The dust became so thick that Colonel Reno halted the battalion. We dismounted and formed a skirmish line with our right anchored by a dry, heavily wooded creek. While the horses were brought to safety under the trees, the native warriors launched a fierce attack. We responded with gunfire that lasted about 30 minutes. We soon discovered a clearing across the creek resembling a park with several lodges, empty at first. Suddenly, about 200 warriors charged at us, their war cries filling the air. Their overwhelming assault made retreat nearly impossible, and soon we realized we were encircled. Our detachment started with only 100 men, but suffered heavy losses under the relentless surge. At the rear, I noticed a guidon left behind and turned back to retrieve it. While moving through the woods, the flag caught on branches and fell from my grasp. These events unfolded as part of a disastrous battle plan. Custer underestimated the enemy's size and strength, splitting his regiment into smaller detachments. This allowed the native Lakota and Cheyenne warriors to concentrate their forces and defeat each group in turn. The assumption that the village was fleeing was false. It stood ready to fight. Custer and all 209 men under his immediate command died, while about 380 soldiers survived after Major Reno and Captain Benteen regrouped on higher ground. After dismounting to recover the guidon, My horse was shot and bolted into enemy ranks, leaving me stranded on foot with roughly 300 Sioux only 50 yards away. They fired at me, but luck spared my life. I slipped into thick brush for cover, where I met interpreter Fred Girard and Private Thomas F. O'Neill of Company G. Both had horses while I and O'Neill were on foot. I suggested driving the horses away to avoid detection, but they refused. I crawled alone to the dry creek bed to hide until dark, planning to rejoin our forces. Minutes later, pistol shots rang out nearby, followed by voices of native women. Peering out, I saw 2 women scalping a soldier who might still have lived, while others danced around the grim scene. The horror of it struck me deeply. Soon after, a crackling noise drew my attention. It was fire. The native warriors had ignited the brush, forcing me to abandon my hiding place. Crawling out cautiously, I heard a voice calling, "Lieutenant," and found the group I had left earlier. Girard had brought the horses and followed me down. Fearful of the spreading fire, we hoped a change in wind and a soft rain would save us. As afternoon waned, we were forced to wait 6 tense hours, hearing and sometimes glimpsing enemy warriors nearby. Night finally fell with thick clouds providing cover for our escape. Girard and a scout mounted their horses. O'Neill and I clung to horsetails as we moved through the darkness toward a river ford 2 miles south. Girard assured us he would notify Colonel Reno if unable to accompany us. We mistakenly crossed the river once too soon and had to ford it again at a curve. Encountering 8 warriors, the mounted men fled while O'Neill and I hid. I was ready to shoot if attacked, but the warriors left us alone. Realizing the fords were well guarded, we spent the night hidden near the riverbank. At dawn, the sound of horses splashing made us believe reinforcements had arrived. Approaching a bank, I thought I saw Captain Tom Custer and called out, only to be met with a barrage of shots. The enemy was dressed in stolen uniforms and riding captured horses. We dove into the bushes as bullets tore through the branches. Returning fire, we forced an approaching band of warriors to retreat after killing 2. Gunfire from above continued, but eventually lessened, allowing us to move deeper into cover. We observed the enemy on bluffs tethering horses and lying in sharpshooter positions. The battle's sounds, musket fire, cheers, and war cries filled the air. Our spirits lifted briefly before despair as we found our wooded refuge set ablaze on both sides. Searching for safety, we hid beneath mulberry trees where lush green grass and little wind slowed the fire. Surrounded by scorched earth, the fire formed a protective ring around us. We watched sentries above fire signals, followed by hundreds of warriors departing in groups. By evening, gunfire had mostly ceased. We planned to wait for darkness to cross toward the Yellowstone River to build a raft and float downstream to the supply camp on the Powder River. After 36 hours without food or water, we moved cautiously. At daybreak from a hilltop, I spied a distant fire. We approached cautiously, unsure if it was friend or foe. Hearing voices and a mule's bray, we felt relief, but proceeded warily. Within 200 yards, I called out my identity and was greeted with cheers. Lieutenant Varnum believed me dead and welcomed me with relief. He shared the grim news. No word from Custer's 5 companies, and our battalion had lost 2 lieutenants. At around 2 a.m., I reached camp exhausted but restless, recounting my narrow escapes and experiences to comrades through the night. Dawn brought confirmation that native warriors had left. Soon General Brisbane's cavalry arrived, followed by infantry under General Gibbon. Seeing those blue uniforms moved us deeply. Even hardened soldiers wept with relief. I must commend Private O'Neill for his unwavering loyalty and courage throughout our ordeal. His steadfastness stood as a beacon amid chaos, earning my everlasting gratitude and the respect of our company. As the smoke lifted and battle cries faded into the Montana dawn, I stood among the few to witness the raw chaos and heroism of Custer's last stand. Yet the story does not end there. What truly transpired on those bluffs? Was it fate, foolishness, or something more complex that doomed the 7th Cavalry? History tells tales of heroes and villains, but on that day every man fought only to survive. The secrets I carry echo through time, sparking questions historians still debate today. Now, I turn to you. What do you believe happened at Custer's last stand? Was it a tragic error, a cultural clash, or an untold truth history has yet to uncover? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments. Let's keep this story alive, for sometimes the mightiest truths are those we uncover together. If this account held your attention, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more untold tales from history's front lines. Until next time, remember, the past is never as distant as it seems.